welcome to the Sheroic podcast. I'm Cassey.
And I'm Lisa.
And today we are talking about a very juicy topic. We're talking about dating and relationships.
Yeah, we are. So when was the last time you went on a date? A first date. How about that?
A first date?
Yeah.
A first date? Years ago. But Sam and I went on a date this past weekend to watch a movie.
That's cool.
We watched Dunkirk, and it was very scary. And I was mad at him afterwards for making me watch Dunkirk. But it was a very beautiful, like, cinematography-wise type of movie, but I couldn't watch it because I was so scared.
But the fact that you still went with him is actually very nice of you.
Well, because we never watch movies. We usually just watch it at home together, but he really wanted to watch Dunkirk, and me knowing that I can't even watch Hunger Games without cringing and, like, basically wanting to die, I felt like, you know, maybe I can step up my game. Maybe I can be a little bit stronger because he really wants to watch Dunkirk, so I will be his watching partner. But most of the time, my head was on his shoulder, and I was cringing and making whimpering noises. As the bombs are going off, I was going,
But it's so nice. I mean, I think that's actually really sweet, like, as a partner to go on, like, you know, a date kind of, you know, should be for the both of you. But the fact that you were like, okay, this is what you want to do, I'll tag along, I think is really nice.
Yeah, well, you know, I also thought that it's can't always be something that I want, because I would make him watch, like, Disney movies and things like that. And I know he doesn't enjoy that stuff, but he does it for me.
That's
so I got to take one for him.
Yeah. And that makes such a difference, especially when you've been with somebody for so long. Right? How long have you guys been together?
We've been together for 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
started
amazing.
dating in college. And for those of you who don't know our story, which is probably a lot of you because I've never told this story before, but we were in college. I was a junior and he was a senior. And I was taking this business finance class. And in general, I was, like, okay at it, but I got a test back and I got a B-, and I was super upset about this B-. And so I said, I need to go see the tutor. I need help. And so I went to go see the tutor, and it was Sam. And that's how we met.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Well, you didn't know that?
I knew he was like he helped you in college, but I didn't realize like he was a specific tutor.
He was literally the finance tutor.
Wow. I had no idea.
So that's that. And we would talk, and then it turned into flirting, and then it turned into we were talking about some type of a fruit, and then one day we met in, like, the tutoring center, and he brought me this type of a fruit, and it was like
That's
and
cute.
then one day we kind of talked about, like, hanging out, and it was, like, little by little, really slow over a period of, like, months.
Okay. So there was no official day, at least right at the beginning.
Oh, well, no. In the beginning, it was just, like, we were just talking. But I remember it was, like, towards where it was very clear that we both really liked each other. Yeah. But we were walking at a farmer's market after school one day, and in my head, I'm all like, so what is this, right? Like, he hasn't said anything.
You just
yet.
ask him? Or no, you're thinking
So
it?
I'm thinking it, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe at the end of this day, he might say something, and I'm like, whatever. I'm like, hey, so, like, what are we? Can we make it official? Okay. And he's like, okay.
Did you really?
Yes, because I just needed to know, like, what is this? And then that's when it became official, and it was, like, May 10th or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so would you do the same now? Like, do you think that the age would have made any difference? Or you think, no, even if I just met Sam now in that same situation, I would be just as blatant, just...
Well, I think as you get older, because I have friends who are in their, like, late 20s or 30s dating now. They say it's very different than when they were dating when they were younger, because now nobody has time. Everyone has their career. And so there's no time for, like, playing games and, like, you know, like, you just want to know, like, are you in it or are you not in it? Right. And so I think I probably would be even faster to say that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think, because part of me would worry that I'd scare them off by being that, like, kind of blatant.
I think that's kind of the person that I am. And he loves me for who I am. And for me, I needed that clarity. And if I was afraid that it was going to scare him away, then maybe he wouldn't be the right person for me, you know? Because I can't live my life in a gray area not knowing do I put my full heart into it or not, because I'm trying to play a game and protect myself?
Yeah.
So I just needed to know. And yeah.
That's so powerful for people to hear, to be yourself, even if like, because I think a lot of people have that fear, right? Of like, oh my God, but if I do this, they're still going to like me. And I think that that's a dangerous game to play, because if you're looking for a long-term relationship, the truth will come out.
Yes. 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 Even if you catch the fish with the hook, right, and you got him, like, to keep it forever, like, that's a whole nother game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. And so I've actually got some stats going off that about like online dating.
Okay.
So because in talking about whether like how true should you be, like how much of yourself should be you be on the first date and things like that, online dating is a fascinating game, because it's just a matter of ticking boxes, right? You don't have to be in front of initially, of course. You don't have to be in front of someone and pretend. You can literally go, yeah, sure, I'm like that, and you tick a box.
Before we even get into that, I would like to preface this that both of us have not done online dating.
No,
is that true?
Yeah,
okay,
that's true. Yeah,
I haven't, because I remember when I first started work after college, I was like, I don't know what, like 22 or something like that. And the earliest people had just gotten on, what is it called? Some fish app. I forget what it's called. It's like a free one. I don't know.
Fish or something? I don't know.
I don't know what it's called. But people were using that, and the stigma back then was like, ew, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you meeting people online? That's disgusting. And now, years later, 2017, it's one of the biggest ways to meet people.
Yeah.
Almost some of the first ways to start meeting people. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. I was one of those people. I was like, oh, you know, especially back then, oh, you must be desperate. If you're
right.
online.
That's what I thought too.
Like, you can't be anyone, like, God.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, you're not online dating? Like, and you want a boyfriend? Like, that seems so crazy to me. It's the perfect way to go and find someone.
Yeah. It just takes time for people to get used to it. Yeah. Super weird.
And society and what society deems acceptable.
Exactly.
And so just the stigma of people thinking it looks desperate. You're probably more inclined to not do it because it's like, oh, I don't want to be seen as desperate.
Right.
But now I love that we've been able to get past that, and, you know, like, looking back at how I thought and how I think now, like, I love that we've gone in that direction, because why not open it up to people?
You know, I read this stat somewhere that back in the day, like, you were more likely to marry someone like on your same street or in your neighborhood just because there was no way to get out of your town or your city. And now it's like you can literally end up with someone across the world because you met them online. Yeah. It's amazing, the power of the internet and social media.
Yeah, I haven't dated. I mean, my first date was with my husband, and that was 17 years ago. So, yeah, I haven't dated new in a long time.
That's good.
And then, it means it's going well. And yeah, like, online now, like, I find it so fascinating. And like, these stats in going on to the subject of like being truly yourself, according to statisticbrain.com, they say men lie about their age, height and income on online dating over women, but women lie most about weight, physical build and age.
That is so interesting. Yeah. Wait, what are the men again?
So the men lie the most about their height and income.
Height
and age.
I didn't know you could put your income there. That's kind of interesting.
So my friend actually, she was talking about going online dating for a long time, and eventually, like, we're just like, okay, you have to do a profile. You've been talking about this for a long time. We'll come and help you.
Okay.
So we did like this little like women's party. We got some wine, we got some like cheese, and we literally sat around the computer. There was like, I think like 6 of us or something.
Yeah.
And we helped her with her profile, and it is income. There's like brackets that says like, do you earn between this and this, or this and this, or this and this, and then are you looking for your partner? Which income bracket are you looking for?
But this is public information. I mean, public on the profile. Like, it would say, Lisa Bilyeu, like, so-and-so thousand a year. Like that?
Oh, yeah. If you went to my profile, you'd be able to see what income bracket I ticked.
I just find like that's really weird.
It is. And that's where does it go from, like, back in the day where it was very traditional dating, right? Where you meet somebody, you don't know how much money they have. You don't know their bank account. You may know what job they're, you know, going into or job they have, but you don't necessarily know their income. So how much do you rely on what people are telling you versus what you see for yourself? Like, for instance, if you're looking for somebody, you're in your late 30s, right? And you're at a stage in your life where, you know what, I want to get married, I want to have kids, I want a husband that supports me. Let's just say, right, that's what you're looking for. So you're going to be looking for an income higher that says like, oh, okay, they can support me now. The problem is now there's all these other incomes. There might be the perfect man out there for you or the perfect boyfriend that is like hits every other note that you're looking for. But because you haven't ticked the right income box, you've almost like segregated them.
I mean, I guess that could happen with any trait if you just didn't click the box for whatever, for height even. What if the perfect guy out there was out there for you but was half an inch shorter than what you asked for? Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's really weird.
So what do you do? Not tick a box?
But then you get too much. You have to narrow it down, right? You have to know. Okay, when I was a young girl, our friends would always ask each other, who's like your dream husband or who's your dream boyfriend? And, you know, we would make lists of like 20 things that we'd want. Like, well, he has to look like this. He has to have this as a job and stuff like that. It's kind of the same thing, but it's almost more innocent because you're just like writing it on paper and it's fun and you're young. But I guess it becomes so real when you're older and you're like, yeah, well, my guy needs to make at least $95,000 a year and he has to be 5'10" with brown hair or whatever. Like, but how do you know that that's really what you want? Because for me, and maybe because I'm more of a romantic person, I love Disney and I love all that kind of stuff. Like, I would much rather meet someone naturally, like at a coffee shop or I ran into them at the gym. You just start building this relationship and this crush over a series of months. It's really exciting. Then when you see them out of the corner of your eye, your heart starts to flutter and you don't know if they like you back and you really like them. You can't stop thinking about them. And like that kind of like, I love. Okay, well, that feeling is a little bit stressful, but like the moment when you know that they like you too, like the butterflies, oh my gosh, the butterflies are so good. And so I haven't been on online dating, but I feel that if I were, where are the butterflies anymore? It feels so analytical. Like, you know that that other person is looking at you the same way you're looking at them and that they're also looking at like 50,000 other people. Like, I don't know how I would feel about that. I've never been in this situation, so I don't know. I just know my romanticized view of relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of see like the world as like you walk out your door, you're surrounded by the sex that you're interested in. I was going to say the opposite sex, but maybe you're looking for
That's true, yeah.
Sex. But you're looking for somebody. So let's say you step out your door, like every person that passes you is one of those, you said there's 50,000 people online or whatever. Like I kind of see it like, well, okay, everyone that passes me would be part of that. So I don't really think about like how wide of a span. I worry that if I was to do online dating, that being forced to tick a box doesn't leave you open to things that you may not realize is out there in the world.
Or that maybe you don't even know what you want. And so for me, ideally, like say if I didn't have Sam, obviously I'd be a different person. I'd be a very different person. He's made me a happier person.
That's nice.
But if I really wanted to find a mate, I feel like I would join some type of a recreational club or something like that where everybody in that club has a common interest. And so we're all working together doing something. And then somehow you find love, like, by the way. There's just something weird to me about, and maybe it's just me. Maybe it's my old-fashioned stigma of online dating that's still holding me back. But there's just something weird about going into this pit with everyone else and we're all like, we're trying to find love, kind of like Bachelor in Paradise or something like that.
It is kind of like looking someone up, you know, like let's say their Instagram, how many followers do they have? Like it's all very statistical. So you said something I really want to ask you. So you said you sit with your friends. And you're used to sit with your friends and say like what you wanted from a guy. And so how does that reflect on Sam? Is that actually the same? Or you're like, oh my God, there's actually something in Sam that I didn't realize I wanted and I didn't put on my list, but if I was to do it now, I would.
So I remember always telling my friends that the number one thing that I was looking for in a guy is a guy that supports me. And I said this at a really young age. I wasn't saying like, well, he has to have abs and like blonde hair and whatever. Like it wasn't about that. And I'd have to say that Sam is exactly that person. He supports me 100%. He makes me so happy, and he's so much more than I thought I wanted on paper. And that's why I'm saying when you tick the box, you may not be able to find the right person. However, you can always untick the box, so it's like an experiment.
Right.
Maybe the type of guys that you're finding by, you know, certain box ticks are a certain way, and then if that doesn't work, just try something else. So, I mean, I think online dating is a great way for people to get out there easier. I just haven't tried it, so I can't really say.
Yeah. I wish I could remember where I read this, but basically it's as women get older, they typically stay within the same range of age of who they're looking to date. So it's usually between, I think it's like 5 and 7 years maximum of their range that they look for. So either 5 or 7 years younger or 5 or 7 years older. And as the woman gets older, that range goes with their age. Men, on the other hand, as doesn't matter what age men are, their ideal age for a woman is 23.
What?
Yep. It literally pretty much stays the same. So even as the guy gets older, as he goes into his 30s, into his 40s, he's still ideal age, if you were to ask them, is 23 years old.
That is so weird.
Which makes me think about dating, where they're ticking a certain box, right? But it eliminates the opportunity that when you're in front of someone to have that butterfly feeling, right?
So the 23 has to just be based on looks. It's not based on the mind.
Right.
Because you get wiser as you get older. You have more common life experiences as you get older. So those men that are saying that really just want like a hot, young something to make them feel
young.
And, hey, this is my trophy girl. Like,
Right.
I can get this.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I know.
That's really weird.
I found it very surprising. I thought, okay, it's probably, like, I could see the gap getting bigger. But I didn't think it was that young. And I have a friend who is in her 40s and she started online dating.
Okay.
And she said the biggest problem that she's finding is the only people who are writing back to her are in their 60s.
Oh my God.
And she's in her 40s.
No
because
40s.
the guys her age are not looking for women her age.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem.
So how does she deal with that?
Right now, she's just frustrated. And she stopped online dating.
Oh, no.
But I told her she needs, obviously my advice was like, look, it's a numbers game. It's kind of like what I think in life as well. Like, I have dated guys before my husband. So when I met him, I actually look back and go, I recognize what I have because I had experienced all these other things. And so I kind of think that with her, like, look, you should still keep yourself out there. Like, if it's something that's important to you, right? If you don't want a significant other and that's not something that's important, then you shouldn't waste your time. But if it's something that has been your dream, like, I would treat it almost like a business. Like, if this was all I wanted in life was to meet somebody and be with them, and that was the goal in life, I would treat it like a business. And I would go, okay, how do I get there? It's like with business, assume things are always going to fail. So go on dates, they're going to be terrible. You may go on 30 dates with 30 different people and they may suck, right?
Yeah.
But if it's like a business, it doesn't make a difference. It's a numbers game. You have to improve. What did you learn last time? Like, oh, I learned, okay, I'm actually not attracted to this type of person. And I thought I was. So.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's harder as you get older because statistically there are more married people when you get older, so the pool is less. So it's like easiest to meet people when you're in school, right? Yeah, and it's a lot more natural too because you have classes together, you're in an intramural sports team together. So yeah, I find that a lot of my friends are having trouble finding people in general. And have you ever seen someone use Tinder?
I haven't, no.
Yeah.
Have you?
I personally, I don't have Tinder,
Right.
but the swiping thing is very interesting.
What's
because
the swiping thing?
Okay, so if you swipe right, so it's I don't have Tinder, so I may be butchering this, but there are profiles that pop up in front of you with probably like a picture, and then if you swipe right, you accept them. If you swipe left, that means you deny them. And if there is a match, then they'll like match you guys together, and then you guys can talk or something like that. But it's weird because it's like so physically based. It's like you choose yes or no based on the profile picture.
But don't you think that's actually like that in real life? Like if you go to a bar, it's really like if someone's
but
attractive.
I don't meet people at the bar. I don't
So
like
you're
meeting
saying
people at
you
the bar.
would, yeah.
So maybe Tinder is like electronic bar.
Right. Yeah, I mean, right? Because it
Yeah.
kind of is. Like, if you go to a bar, it's typically...
It's totally looks-based.
It's looks-based.
Unless they can charm you, like, right away.
But even that,
Yeah.
they're kind of trying to charm you because of how you look.
Yeah.
Like, that's almost how if you're strangers, of course.
Right. Huh.
So... if you were to date now, then you would go to these types of places that you're attracted to so that you know that you at least have one thing in common already.
And then you get to know someone by kind of observing how they do things, and maybe you're paired together on a project, then that becomes almost like just a natural opportunity to work together. Yeah, I mean, that's what I think I would do.
Right. Of course, look, you don't know until you're put in that position, but...
my friends would probably make me a Tinder profile or like a something profile, but I just don't know how I'd feel about that, especially knowing, like, I know this guy is on this app and probably talking to a bunch of other girls right now, and what he's saying to me could be a copy and paste, and that's just... I don't know. I just don't feel good about that. I like it when you meet someone in real life and you just get to know who they are, what they do, and you also get to know, like, if they're actually seeing anybody else.
Right.
Hopefully they're genuine and, like,
Right.
they'll, like, tell you, or you can tell.
But
yeah.
even that, like, from what I've heard, the people online, that's exactly what they do. Like, they don't commit. They date, like, multiple people.
I know. I mean, and if you say it's like a business, then if they're treating it that way and they want to get their highest success rate, then they're going to try a lot of different things. I just feel like, I don't know, I think that's where I kind of draw the line between treating love like a business. Like, I can't. When I love one person. I love them wholly and deeply. And if they cut me off, it hurts so bad.
Yeah.
And that's when I throw on the Taylor Swift songs from her album Red, and I cry and I work out and I listen to it.
And you're saying that if somebody had upset you from the business perspective, you wouldn't have felt like that.
You mean just in business?
Well, 'cause
Someone
you said-
betrayed me or whatever?
Right, exactly.
Well, then I just figure out a way around it, and it's
Right.
fine, and you just deal. But when it comes to opening my heart, because
Yeah.
the heart and the mind are so different.
Right.
When it comes to opening my heart, and then you just, like, cut it, like, it hurts so different.
Yeah. Well, thank you for, like, I guess enlightening me, because when I said treat it like a business, I actually meant the approach of starting to date, to find that. Not treat your loved ones like it's a business. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, would you, if you were single right now, would you go on an app?
Yeah, 100%. I would go on every app, every website. I would join up. I don't know if I'd have much success.
Oh, I think you'd have so much success, Lisa. Look at those legs, look at those arms. Oh my gosh.
But I mean, like, and that's what I mean by, like, it would be a business, is that I would go into it going, okay, to get the best opportunity, right, you need to keep yourself open. So I'd keep myself open to doing different, because there's, like, certain sites, I believe, that are for, you know, more business people. There's certain sites for more, like, hookups and so things like that. I would try to keep myself open to all of that because I don't know what's going to come my way.
That's true.
And so, but I think I would be very brutally honest in my profile. I'd probably even, and this is one thing you hit, right? Even people lying about their height and stuff like that. Like, what I don't get is, what do you expect is going to happen when you turn up on that first date?
Yeah, so there's this whole show called Catfish, I believe. And basically it's people who pretend to be somebody else, and they have, like, these long-term digital relationships basically between typing and, like, a photo.
Yeah.
Like, there's not even, like, any Skyping or anything. They
Yeah.
have, like, this romantic relationship. And then eventually one day the other person wants to meet up. And then on the show, and I've only seen one episode because my sister likes the show and she made me watch it. Then what happened was, this girl who was an obese woman, she wanted to find love online. So she grabbed, like, a stock photo of some model who was, like, 300 pounds, like, lighter than her. And, you know, she found different angles of the model and, like, made her entire profile. So this guy thought he was dating this model girl. And then for some reason, and who knows if these shows are true, but whatever, she shows up and he's like, what? And then, like, he's really, like, upset, but then she's really upset. I'm like, why are you upset? Like, you're the one who catfished him.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and that's like, it kind of goes into my notion that I wish I told myself when I was 16. Because when I was 16 and I started dating, it was like, try and be the perfect first date, right? Yeah. Put on like your nicest clothes that you don't often wear, but you just know you look really good, but you don't wear it really because it's very uncomfortable and blah, 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 but you're going to put it on anyway. You do your hair differently because you want to look special. You put on your best airs and graces, so like maybe you just pick at your food or stuff like that. That's what I used to do. And
then you go home and eat a whole meal.
Yeah, because you're starving, right? Like, because all you ate was lettuce because you think that that's what the guy wants.
Right, and you don't want to get stuff in your teeth and you got to be ready to talk.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But, again, that's a false representation of who you are. And so if I could go back now, I literally would be like, be yourself 100%, right? It's kind of what you were saying with Sam. It's like, be yourself 100%, because if they don't like you, then better to know now than find out in 3 months when you start slipping into who you really are and they don't like what they see. Well, if they don't like what they see, then tough on them. Be yourself, own who you are, and then find someone that can really accept you for that. Or if it's actually a problem in your life and you don't like that part of your personality, cool, then change that part of your personality.
100% agree on that too. Yeah. And also in a relationship, there's give and take. Like, you need to be yourself and your partner needs to be themselves. But you can't always get everything your way either. There needs to be a compromise. You just have to realize that there's that. But as long as you both love each other and you're headed towards the same goal, like it should be fine.
Is there anything that you feel like you've changed from having, like, let's say your first date with Sam that you've kind of altered over time because you realize that that isn't best for your relationship?
Yeah. So Sam tells me that I'm really intense.
Okay.
And so, like, if I want something, I'm just going to either go get it or like raise my hand and ask for it. And I don't care about what other people think about me. And so sometimes it gets a little bit too intense for people and then I can see it in their face. But Sam is a lot more socially conscious than I am. So like, I don't care. And so he's taught me how to still get what I want, but execute it in a different way. Like maybe take my time with it instead of just like off the bat getting so crazy.
Okay.
So he's taught me that. He's taught me how to have more fun because I love working a lot. When I was in school, I studied a lot. I was a part of every like club and student body representative and all that kind of stuff. And I was just always doing stuff. He's like, hey, Cassey, sometimes we need to actually just like go to the beach and hang out. And so he taught me how to relax.
Right.
And so that's what Sam has really brought into my life. He supports me in what I do, so he doesn't tell me not to achieve my dreams because he knows that makes me really happy. It also makes him happy to see me succeed. But he knows that mentally, emotionally, physically, like I need rest and I need to relax. And then that becomes like our hangout time, which is important too.
That's interesting. I wonder if he was online dating and he was to do a tick box on like type of personality, would he have done like not intense? And so would that mean like he wouldn't have gone on the first date with you?
You know, to be completely honest, I think I pursued Sam in the beginning.
Did you really?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
so let's talk about that.
Well, we were doing the tutoring sessions, obviously, and then our conversations were really easy. So that's when you know, like, there's like an opportunity, and we were both single. But I really enjoyed my time with him, and then I would come more often, even when I didn't need to. And then we would just end up talking about other things, not finance. And then I was like, okay, I really like this guy, so I'm going to ask for his Facebook. And then I messaged him something. And then I asked what kind of cupcake he liked. And then I brought him a cupcake. Like, I just, like, slowly went in on it. And then I think I might have been the one to be like, hey, like, so we should hang out sometime or something like that. I don't remember, but I remember, like, I was more pursuing in the beginning, but now we're together and he's like a total Prince Charming, and like he knows what makes me happy. He treats me like this sounds so corny, but like he treats me like a
princess,
but he also puts me in my place when I need to be put into place. Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, if you meet Sam, like, he's honestly one of the sweetest men I've ever met, but he's not a pushover by any, like, that guy, like, I've seen him get stuff done. And when he needs to speak up, he speaks up.
Oh my gosh, there are times when it'll just come out of because he's so sweet and like very kind and calm all the time. But like, if someone ticks him off or like does something that's not okay, and this is not in our team or anything, this is like outside, he will like raise his voice and like tell them like how it is. And I'm like so scared that I'm like, please, can you stop? Like, it's okay. Let's just go. It's fine. We're gonna get shot right now.
We're gonna get shot.
No, but seriously, you never know. People can just go crazy on you, so I'd rather just like walk away.
So if you were then, I'm going to keep going back to dating because I find it so fascinating about what I think I would want in a guy and then the reality of what I would want in a guy. Would you have ticked a box of someone who stands up and kind of puts his foot down or someone that doesn't?
I think I would tick a box if there were one for that, for someone who would stand up for what they want. But I also would have to say that something that I taught Sam, the same way he taught me how to relax and have fun, I taught him how to speak up even in uncomfortable situations and ask for things that he needs. Because this is even going down to like the smallest thing, right? Like we're at a restaurant and like I really want more hot sauce because I always want more hot sauce. And like I'd be like, I would just like be like, hey, excuse me, like I need more hot sauce. But then like one time I was like, well, Sam, can you like ask for more hot sauce? He's like, oh, it's okay. Like you don't need it. Like it's fine. I was like, no, I need it. Like, can you ask? He's like, no, I don't like want to bother them. Like that sort of thing. And then I actually got really mad at him. I was like, this is a small example of bigger things in life. Like if you want something, like don't be afraid. Like ask for it. And if they don't give it to you, just get up and get it for yourself and stuff like that. And so he's actually been working on that for the past like years, and he's so good at it now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
that's great. And that's why like dating in general, and even specifically like the first date, like it's not an entire reflection of who that person is. Like you actually even said it on one of our episodes about business and hiring people. You said when you go into an interview, you don't get the whole scope of who they really are.
You get the thin slice.
You get the thin slice. You came up with that. Yeah, you do, right? But you don't. You see the best side of them. You see what they want to show you, and you don't see anything else. Which is why I think just dating can be so powerful, because like don't put all your eggs in one basket on that first day. Like, oh my God, is this the man or woman or whoever? Is this the person or not? Like, I think you need to go into it with an open eye and go, okay, these are the traits I like about somebody, but they're not going to define the actual final person that I pick. Because you can work on skills. If it's someone with a growth mindset, they can go, oh, okay, like with Sam, right? Where it's like, look, you have to start standing up for yourself. He's like, oh, okay, cool. And he starts actually doing it. Whereas if you're just judging someone from like date 1 or date 2 or date 3, like there's no allowance for the person they could grow to be. But in saying that, did you have any must-haves that you were like, no matter what, when I meet the right person, this is one thing that I'm not going to like even budge on. Like this is so important to me, because I think even though I'm saying you should be very open to other things, I think also there's certain things that are so important to people that maybe they don't think about on date 1 because they're caught up in like the electricity and the emotion of the day. And then 3 months, 6 months, a year down the line, the one thing they're like, oh, that doesn't really matter. But they know it really does. That in a year, they're like, I can't do this. I can't believe he doesn't agree with me on this part. Or is there anything like that?
I think it goes back to that thing that I wanted as a little girl. I wanted a guy who would completely support me. That doesn't mean that he can't have his... Oh, and when I say support, I don't mean I need his financial support. I mean I need his encouragement and his belief in what I do, and to not crush my dreams and then support it in that way.
Do you think that stems from like your parents? Like not necessarily believing in your dream, and that's kind of partly something you were looking for?
I actually have never thought about that. Probably. Now, if I were to add on one more thing, I think I would say that if you have an ego and you like cannot put that aside and like not be happy for my dreams because you're so focused on yours, like that's a total turn off to me. Like total turn off, because I've met people like that before who like cannot stop talking about themselves. You try to say something about your day, they don't even care. Like that kind of stuff, like no, like that doesn't swing by me. But in terms of like what ethnicity you are, your height, how you look, like that's not even on this paper. Like it didn't even make it there. For me, it's all about our connection, and that starts with who you are inside. Yeah, because you know there's like those dating sites, I think it's called JDate, where basically it's just Jewish people. I think that's how Sam's sister met her her current fiance.
Really? On J-Date?
That's something like J-Date, J-Swipe, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And initially I was like, I can't believe, like, it's just for, like, Jewish people.
Right.
And, you know, you're really kind of, like, isolating everybody around you. But then I actually thought, you know what? For the people that is so important to them, that they've been brought up or their beliefs are, like, this is important to me. And it's not something I'm ever going to let go of, then I actually get like that should be the one thing that you hold to and make sure that you don't, you know, kind of like let go of. Because if it's important but you don't address it, it's like what I was saying, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, when you get married, well, what type of ceremony do you have? When you have a kid, how are you going to bring them up?
Right.
Like there are certain things that can carry throughout your life, and I think you like it would be very advantageous to really kind of identify those as soon as you can. And look, I think that's going to change as you get older, right? Your personality changes and what's important to you changes. But something like that, I think is actually a really good thing to have so that you know whether, when you're going on these dates, whether they really are right for you. If you're looking for a future husband or partner or something.
Yeah, well, religion is a big part of a lot of people's lives. And
Right.
it is also the foundation of your morals and your upbringing and stuff like that. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I keep going, my mind keeps going back to that checkbox of salary. It makes me feel so uncomfortable for some reason. It's almost like having a checkbox for like, how many followers do you have? It's just like so superficial and like to me doesn't really matter. Now, of course, a lot of people could be like, well, it does matter if you want to raise kids and you want to live in a certain house and stuff like that. It's like, totally get it. But just in like the love aspect of it, like it really doesn't matter to me. And like it also makes me feel weird, like, well, then wouldn't everybody check like 1 million plus or something like that? Like, how do people know that they want like 65 to 75,000 versus like 300,000 to 500,000? Like, how do you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That seems weird.
Yeah.
Like, I can check that box like to buy a house, but to find a spouse, like, I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, so I just listened to this How I Built This podcast on one of my favorite podcasts.
That's right, you were saying.
And Guy Raz just interviewed Jennifer Hyman, who's the CEO of Rent the Runway, and she told a story.
Which, if anyone knows Jennifer, let's get her on the show.
Yeah,
Ping
we
her.
love her. So actually, I tweeted her, and she tweeted me back, and I was totally fangirling. Yay! Okay, so anyway, what I was saying is that she was dating someone when she was at Harvard Business School, and when her business was featured on the front page of the business section of New York Times, I think I'm getting this correctly, a few months later, her boyfriend broke up with her and said, I don't want to be with someone who is my equal.
Wow. I mean, here's the thing.
Yeah.
You got to respect the guy was honest.
Because if he wasn't, it could have been a lot. She could have been doubting a lot of things. So in one way, yes, super heartbreaking. And he's totally, in my eyes, not who I would want to be with. But yeah, it was crazy because he's not even saying like, I don't want someone better than me. I don't want someone who's my equal.
And did he mean equal financially?
Maybe, I don't know. She didn't expand on that story. Maybe we can ask her when she's here. But yeah,
I like that.
It was very interesting, and like I cannot. If somebody said that to me, I'd be like, then you don't deserve me. Bye. Like if you can't handle being around someone who has their own dreams and successes, like, and you're so worried about how you feel because you're comparing yourself to your partner, like you're a small person. Yeah.
God, here's the thing. I'm actually so impressed that he was honest about it.
That's true. Yeah. I'm very impressed by that too.
Right, because we even get questions about like, what do you do with ghosting and things like where guys just disappear off the face of the planet. Like that would be worse to me than someone actually being honest. Because I would actually find super empowerment in a guy saying that to me. Now,
That's
of course,
true.
look, I'm not going to pretend. If it was my husband, I'd be heartbroken. I'd be crestfallen. I'd disappear off the planet for 2 months and, you know, but at least if they were honest, I could say to myself, then this isn't someone that I should be with. Even if he broke your heart, right? Because if their ego is going to get in the way of us being together, then that's not someone that I want in my life anyway.
Yeah. I think it was a heartbreaking but very empowering breakup.
And like what you were saying about what was important to you with Sam, it was to have someone that supports you. And so the great news is that is a perfect example of someone who's not going to support you.
That is the exact opposite. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, I always think back to like my first date. Like I didn't really think of our lives of what it would be like now. So it's kind of hard to say like what I was thinking when I first dated compared to now. But when I would go on dates in general before I met my husband, it was definitely looking for a guy that was going to take care of me. And I don't think I really understood or thought through what that meant. I think because especially back then as well, I thought I would get married and have kids. And I looked up to my father. I still look up to my father. And, you know, that's what he was earning enough money so that he could basically pay for, you know, the kids to go to school and stuff like that. But in meeting Tom, the one thing that was very attractive to me was his confidence and the fact that even though he had tremendous confidence, it was always in service of also bringing me up and never getting the confidence by pushing me down.
Good.
And I think who he was back then of being supportive no matter what I wanted is now reflected on me now. So I think looking at traits like that of what the person is like in those types of situations could be strong.
When you were a little girl, did you have a list of things that you wanted in a guy? And how does that compare to Tom now?
Yeah. I always thought I would. Well, and so how young are we?
I don't know. When you
let's say I'm 16.
Okay.
16, I was dating guys. I ended up meeting a guy, and he was my boyfriend for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
But he wasn't driven. He wasn't motivated. He didn't even go. In fact, he dropped out of college in like the first month. And he literally didn't really do much. And I always remember it being like, I really do love him. Like, my heart belongs to him. At least I thought at the time. I'm really into him. My heart belongs to him. We sometimes have these nice moments, but he's not driven. He never encourages me. He keeps saying that I leave him behind, right? Because I was at college, so I'm doing all these activities, shooting short films, all of this stuff. And I remember thinking, like, I'm never going to let someone hold me back. And I didn't know at the time how I was either going to drag him with me or was I going to let him go? I didn't know. And then when I finally let him go and we broke up, I went on about a year of just dating guys.
Okay.
And then I almost went the opposite. I was like, all right, I'm going to date somebody who is the antithesis of what I just dated. So I'm going to date someone who has a future, that is either studying or has money, is in security. Like, they work hard, they get enough money. So a lot of it was superficial. So I was looking at like the cars they drove, the restaurants they were taking me to, as a reflection, because I was so like, okay, I'm going to go opposite direction. So I was pushing hard in the opposite direction. So it was like, what car do they drive? Like, what restaurant are they taking me to? Because it showed me something that I thought, or at least I thought it showed me something. And then I met Tom. And on the first date with Tom, he pulls up, he's just in his work gear, so he doesn't dress up. And so again, had just come off a year of dating guys where I was used to guys like really dressing up. Very superficial.
Yeah.
But again, they kind of put on the show. And I went on this first date with Tom, and he turns up and he's in his work clothes. Okay. And then he takes me to his car, and he's driving this really, really old, beaten down Buick. Okay. Like the big old man's car.
Yeah.
And I was so shocked. So just to kind of give people, I guess, a bit of context, Tom also was my teacher. And
that's crazy.
I came from London to do a course in LA for just 2 months. And I walk in, and it was a school for adults. Day one, he's my teacher. So cut to a month later, I kind of knew him. But I didn't realize like what he was like outside of work. So he pulls up, and this big old Buick, and I'm like, wow, like I didn't see that coming. But then he opens the car door for me. And I had never met a man. Like, it's not in at least the Greek culture that I was brought up in. boys I dated, no one had ever held the door open for me.
Really? Not once?
Not once.
Wow.
So I was like taken aback.
Uh-huh.
Of course, he opens the door. So at this point, I'm like, I don't care what freaking car he drives. Like, I can't believe that, like, how sweet of, like, is he that he just, like, opened the car door for me.
Yeah.
So then we turn up at the restaurant, or at least I thought it was a restaurant.
Okay.
It was a strip mall Chinese, like, fast food takeaway place.
This is so cute. I love it.
And it had a B rating on the outside, which I didn't realize at the time that American restaurants get rated like that.
You're like B for best.
Yeah, sure. So again, I'm used to being taken to these lovely restaurants.
Yeah.
We get to this restaurant and I'm like, this is like, it's literally worse than a diner. There's rips in the chairs. And we sit down and I was like, okay, well, like, I'm just, you know, I've really been excited about this date. So I'm just going to put that aside. And we start talking. Oh, we literally spoke for like 10 hours.
Oh my God.
It was like till 4 a.m. I mean, we left the restaurant.
Wow.
And I didn't even care about the food. I didn't care about the restaurant. And now I ask him about, like, how come he took me to... He goes, because you said you like Chinese food and I knew that this Chinese place did great food. He's like, he wasn't... Like, for him, he wasn't thinking about the external stuff. And every time, like, we did something and I had an expectation of what I thought I wanted and he completely flipped it, I was so enlightened by it that I literally, like, after that first date, I fell head over heels for him. Aww. And I realized, like, all these things that I'd just been, like, trying to search for in that last year, right, of, like, nice cars and nice restaurants and, like, they're going to take care of me because I didn't have that in my prior relationship. Completely went away and I was like, this is the best date I've ever been on. Aww. He's so romantic, he's so engaging, he pushes me, he was brutally honest, which that was when I was like, oh wow, I can actually be myself, because he was so brutally honest, saying things you wouldn't think people would say on a first date.
Like what?
Like, I guess I'm just going to be very honest.
Okay.
That we were talking about marriage, and not our marriage, but like, oh, hey, like, is marriage something you ever, you know, the kind of the chit-chatty questions. And he was like, well, to be honest, like, I'm not against marriage, but I've seen so many people's sex drives and sex lives go downhill once they get married. And I'm going to be very honest, sex is very important to me. And so I don't care how long I've been with somebody for, how long I've been married for, like, I'm never going to get trapped in a relationship that has no sex. And he says this on the first date. And so I was like, I was so like, wow, that was so refreshing. Like, that you were that honest about someone that you've just met. Like, I don't know. I just had so much respect for that. And because he was so honest, I then let down my guard and I didn't pick at the lettuce anymore. And I just had the big plate of food. And yeah.
That's really good. So if you were to check off a box for Tom at that stage in his life and you wanted a salary of whatever, you would have missed Tom.
Right. And
that's why the tick boxes scare me.
It does.
Because it's just that person in that moment of their life. Yeah, it's scary to me.
And that's when people talk about going on dates and people say, do you have, you know, they write in a lot to us, like, what are your suggestions on dating? Like, I keep coming back to be your authentic self. Now, look, that doesn't mean, right, there are days that I'm sure you do. You just wear your sweats and you wear, like, shoes that are, like, super old. And, like, you wouldn't necessarily go on your first date like that.
Yeah, I mean, just don't be fake. Like, be the best version of you. Don't be fake. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. So we've spoken a lot about first-time dating, right? On your first date, the things that we would have done or we would do now going back in time. But what about dating now that you've been in a long-term relationship? What are your thoughts on that? I
think you always have to keep working at your relationship. You have to both want to put effort into it. And I think you need to schedule time to have fun. You need to schedule time to have relaxed time with one another. And for me, some people are like, how do you guys spend so much time together? You must get sick of each other. But we don't, because when we're at work, I don't even count that as us time. That is like totally work time. And then when we get home, that is the beginning of us time. And just like any other couple who may have two different jobs, like, that's when our us time begins. But even so, sometimes we take our work with us at home, and then we have to realize, like, hey, can we put away our phones? Can we put away our computers? Like, can we just, like, cuddle for a little bit or, like, spend some time together? And Sam will be really honest with me. Like, sometimes, like, before I go to bed, I have my phone right by me, and I read all the news before I go to bed. It's just like what I do, and be like, hey, you're spending too much time on the phone. Like, come over here. And so he'll be very open and honest if like I'm not showing him much attention, and I'll do the same for him. But I do it in a really stupid way where I start getting really whiny and act like a baby and be like, you're not spending time with me.
And then, really? Yeah, that's
when I'm totally acting.
Yeah.
and then it's funny, and then we spend time together. So yeah.
So, but do you actually schedule
yes,
so I know you said you went to the movies, but do you do that often? Like this is going to be date time.
We don't, but we really like eating out, and ever since I started eating more of a plant-based lifestyle, like I'm not vegan, like sometimes I'll have some fish and things like that, but ever since I've started eating a more plant-based lifestyle, it's been a little bit harder to go out. But now that I added fish back into my diet, now we can have sushi again, and so we had date night the other day, and for us date night is whenever we go out to eat. Like we love eating.
That's cool.
Yeah. Do you schedule?
Yeah. I actually put it in his diary. I contact our assistant. I tell her like we need to schedule it because I find that we live such busy lives, and there's certain times where where you whine, right? Like my equivalent of the whining is reaching out to the assistant saying, I need time with him. You have to book it like within the next week because I just need that quality time with him. And so we'll have to schedule it because otherwise I fear that because we're working together and because we see each other every day.
Like you think you're
hanging out.
Yeah.
But then we also have rules on our dates. We don't talk about work.
Okay, so that's something that Sam told me recently. He said, Cassie, every time we're at home, all you do is talk about work. And I'm like, but it's so exciting. He's like, no, can we talk about other things like family or like things, hobbies? And I actually had to pull myself back. And so now when I'm at home, instead of being like, can you believe that? Like, I try to talk about other things. And then you have to train yourself because then you're like, I don't know what to talk about now.
It's true.
No, it's true. Yeah.
Have you started like keeping a list of topics?
No, do you?
Not topics, but Tom and I, what we do on vacation is we do list of questions.
What?
And in fact, Tom and I, we're going to publish a book. I haven't even a chance to tell you. Well, we've started kind of toying with it, and we're accumulating the questions. But for people who don't know, Tom and I do a relationship theory show on Facebook once a week where we answer questions.
So you guys should definitely watch that.
Yeah, on
if you like this episode.
Tom Billy, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tom Billy Facebook.
Okay.
Every Monday, and because of that, we realized, so we were doing the show, people were writing in, asking us questions, and we realized, we've been together for 17 years, married for 15. There's certain things that I still don't realize about him, which I think is beautiful, right? I think discovering new things about each other, it's like me and you. Every time we sit down here, we learn that one little thing new that we didn't realize. And so we realize that questions are so powerful to actually like start a discussion or establish something new about the person. So we write questions for each other. And when we
write them?
Yeah. So literally, I keep a list in my phone. He keeps a list in his phone, and especially if we're going on vacation, we'll start working on our lists.
But do you talk it back?
Yeah, so I'll ask him the question, like, would you rathers, kind of like what we did earlier.
Huh.
So
that's really interesting.
Yeah, it keeps it fresh, and because I would find when he would be like, I don't want to talk about work, the same thing, like, I don't know what to talk about. Because especially when you work together and there's things that happen to you during the day.
Yeah, and it's common experiences.
Yeah. Or you're talking about someone from work.
Right.
But again, he would perceive it as work. But I'm not actually talking about work. I'm talking about someone from work.
Yeah.
But he's like, they're just intertwined with him. So, yeah, I find list of questions are great for dates, whether you've been with someone for a short time or for a long time. Like, it makes things fun because you end up either going quiet, talking about the weather or something like that. And
okay, so a little tip that I used to do on dates is that on a first date, I would always ask, what's your quirk? That would be my question. It'd always throw them off because they'd be like, what do you mean a quirk? Because then they have to be vulnerable. They have to tell you what it is. And then they have to be conscious enough to know that that is something weird about them. And I found that a lot of people had trouble with that question. So you guys can try that at home with your first dates and see how that makes your partner feel.
I really like it. Did anyone ever ask you back?
Probably. And I have a lot of quirks, so I know all my answers. Like, I can't eat chocolate, like all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
And just in asking that question, though, actually does show your personality to them.
I'm very much like a question asker.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in conversations where you feel like you're the only one asking questions and the other person isn't doing the same back to you?
100%.
Yeah, I don't like those. I want them to also ask me, and I want to learn too, but I also don't like people who just keep talking about themselves the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this. Like, we have so many back and forths.
Yeah. It's not an interview. It's a conversation. I think that's what I really love about our podcast. And okay, so before we end, what would you recommend to be a question someone could ask on their first date? So mine is, what's your quirk?
Okay, what's your quirk? Yours is really cute and funny, and I kind of want to think of something that shows personality, but the only first question that comes to mind, only because I probably need to think about it a bit more, but the first thing that comes to mind is, if you had $100 million, this is what I ask on the...
This is an interview.
I know, it's an interview.
You can't ask them that. Okay, maybe you can.
But doesn't it show, like...
Screening process. Yeah.
Like, so if you haven't heard the other episode where I said this, it was, if you had $100 million, what would your day-to-day look like?
I think that's an okay question. I think that's fine.
Because it kind of shows, like, what do they do? Like, if they're like, I'd go volunteer at a pet shelter, then it shows you who they are as a person.
Right.
If they're like, I'd play video games my entire life, and although even though these days video games are, is a career, so I don't want to knock that.
Yeah, that's true.
But you know what I mean? Like, it just shows a type of personality.
I think that's a good question. Because it takes you out of reality, really, and you can see their dreams. It's just a different way of asking what their dreams are in a scenario, cute, fun way.
In a more specific way as well.
Specific way. So that's good. Okay.
I think I'd be a little intense though on our first date.
Maybe like
especially now
towards like the last quarter of your date. Maybe you can ask it like
is that when you do it?
Like during dessert. I think you can do it during dessert. It's okay. Yeah. And then you could start off with my question, like quirks, to just like break the ice.
I so love your question.
And then end with your question.
Here's the thing, you should ask that question in job interviews.
I should. I always ask them what their special talent is, but saying quirks, you really get something weird out of there.
Yeah.
Like, I like chewing pencils or something like that. I don't know. Like, it's funny.
Have you actually had someone that said chewing pencils?
No, but when you were a kid, didn't you have like that one kid in class who would just chew pencils and eat erasers?
Yeah. I never understood that personally, but...
Okay, and so guys, that concludes the end of our episode.
I can't believe it's been an hour already.
It's going to be an hour very soon.
Insane.
Yeah. You guys, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah, please do,
whether you are on YouTube or you are on iTunes right now. And also, please leave us a comment, leave us a review, and rate us. That would mean the world to us.
It really would. If this is bringing you value, guys, like, we really would appreciate a good review. But if you hate us, also leave a bad review.
Also, let us know.
That's important.
It's important. And share this if you can. Share this with someone who you think could learn something from either this episode or another episode.
Yeah.
And
leave comments on what dating tips you may have.
Oh, yeah, and what questions you've been asked, or questions that you think other people could ask on their dates. I think that'd be really funny. Cool. All right, guys. Well, until next time, be Sheroic!